You see the screen, boys? The teleprompter? Read that.
Local decision makers having and resources at the federal level.
So I'm thinking having the federal, that they're trying to get into the state, that the national is trying to get in and make, have some control over the state education. So I just, I put a comment there, but you can comment however you like.
Oh, don't worry. You only got 1 minute.
All right.
60 seconds.
Let's get back to the top of the story. All righty. Hello, Northwest Georgia, and welcome to your weather on North Georgia Television. A beautiful day out there today with clear skies and temps right around 60 over much of the region this morning. Mostly sunny this morning, and then we'll have a mix of sun and clouds today, with more clouds moving in later. Winds will be southeast at 10 to 20. Temperatures fairly constant across the region throughout the day and reach a high of 80. Clouds increase with showers arriving after midnight and lows down around 64. In Calhoun today, 59, warming up to 73 by noon, and then 80. And Chatsworth, 60 this morning, expect 74 at noon, and 80 will be your high as well. And Chickamauga, at 59 this morning, 74 expected midday, and 79 for your high. Cohutta, 59 this morning, 74 expected midday, and 79 for your high. And Dalton, 59 for the overnight low early this morning, up to 74 by midday, and then 80 for your high temp. And Fairmount, 60 early this morning, expect a noontime temp of 74, and then on up to the area high of 80. Fort Oglethorpe, also at 60 this morning, looking at 74 at noon, and then you'll have a high of 80. And Lafayette, 59, 74 expected at midday, and you will also hit 80 this afternoon. And Ringgold at 60 this morning, midday expect 75, and another 80 for the high. And then your 7-day forecast. Thunderstorms likely in the morning, then in the afternoon, highs in the upper 70s, south winds at 5 to 10, cloudy with more thunderstorms Friday night, and light winds, lows in the mid-50s. On Saturday, mostly cloudy, with scattered thunderstorms mostly in the morning, highs in the upper 70s again, scattered thunderstorms late Saturday night, lows near 65. Sunday, potentially severe thunderstorms expected, south winds at 10 to 15, and temperatures in the low 70s. Storms give way to partly cloudy skies overnight, temps near 45, winds at 5 to 10. And Monday, partly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s, mostly clear Monday night, and lows in the mid-40s. Then on Tuesday, partly cloudy, temps near 80, winds will be light and variable, cloudy overnight, temps down near 55. And on Wednesday, showers in the morning, scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, high of 72. Scattered thunderstorms Wednesday night, lows near 60. And next Thursday, variable clouds, scattered thunderstorms, high of 74, showers overnight, and a low around 52. And that's your weather. North Georgia Television hopes you have a blessed and beautiful day. And here are your area obituaries. DeWard Bernard Monroe Mud Lambert, age 81. Mud Lambert of Rossville passed away Saturday, April 6th. Funeral services will be held at 2 p.m. Thursday, April 11th in Wilson and Son Fort Oglethorpe Chapel, with Pastor Brad Griswold officiating. Burial will follow in Tennessee Georgia Memorial Park. The family will receive friends 4 to 8 p.m. Wednesday and prior to the service on Thursday at the funeral home. Connie Grizzle Connell, age 78. Connie Connell of Ranger passed away peacefully at home April 1st. A celebration of life, love, and laughter will be held at Calhoun First Presbyterian Church Saturday, April 13th at 12 p.m. In lieu of flowers, expressions of love could be donated to Voluntary Action Center of Calhoun or the Gordon Animal Shelter. Arrangements are under the care and direction of Max Brannon and Sons Funeral Home of Calhoun. Mrs. Marguerite T. King, age 96. Marguerite King of Chatsworth departed this life Saturday, April 6th. Services to celebrate her life will be held Saturday, April 13th at 11 a.m. at Ponders Melrose Chapel with Reverend Travis Martin and Reverend Randy Postel officiating. She'll be laid to rest beside her husband at the Dawnville Cemetery. The family will receive friends at Ponders Melrose Chapel from 5 till 9 p.m. Friday and after 9 a.m. Saturday morning until the service. Patricia Kinsey, age 73. Pat Kinsey of Rocky Face passed away Monday, April 8th at Quinton Memorial Healthcare. The family will receive friends at the Rocky Face Chapel of Julian Peoples Funeral Home on Thursday, April 11th from 6 until 9 p.m. Per Mrs. Kinsey's request, no service will be held. Burial will be in Rocky Face Cemetery. Norma Jean Sharp Parton, age 78. Norma Parton of Ringgold passed away Monday, April 8th. Funeral services will be held 1 p.m. Thursday, April 11th in the Wilson Funeral Home, Wallace Stewart Chapel in Ringgold. Interment will follow at Lakewood Memory Gardens South. The family will receive friends 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. on Thursday at the funeral home. Mr. Grady L. Klein, age 61. Grady Klein of Strawberry Plains, Tennessee, formerly of Dalton, departed this life Sunday, April 7th at his residence. Services to celebrate his life will be held Friday, April 12th at 2 p.m. at Ponders Melrose Chapel. He will be laid to rest beside his wife at the Ponders Colonial Hills Memorial Park Cemetery. The family will receive friends at the funeral home from 5 till 9 p.m. Thursday and prior to the service on Friday. Mrs. Jean Blaylock, age 92. Jean Blaylock of Chatsworth passed away April 9th at her residence. Funeral service for Mrs. Blaylock will be Friday, April 12th in the chapel of Sean Chapman Funeral Home. Interment will be in Murray Memorial Gardens. The family will receive friends Thursday from 5 till 9 at the funeral home. Earl Franklin Epps, Sr., age 75. Earl Epps of Ringgold passed away Monday, April 8th. Funeral services will be held 1 p.m. Friday, April 12th at Lee's Chapel Community Church with Pastor Steve Yarborough, Pastor Greg Finch officiating. Interment will follow at Lee's Chapel Cemetery. The family will receive friends from 4 to 9 p.m. Thursday and 10 to 12 p.m. on Friday at the funeral home. John J.L. Robinson, age 86. J.L. Robinson of Rossville went home to be with his Lord and Savior on Tuesday, April 9th. He was a veteran of the Army serving during the Cree War conflict. Funeral services will be held at 12 noon Friday, April 12th at Wilson Funeral Home, Fort Oglethorpe Chapel, with Jim Lewis officiating. Burial will follow in Chattanooga National Cemetery, and the family will receive friends 4 to 8 p.m. Thursday and prior to the service on Friday. Deacon Richard Nathaniel Pulliam, age 85. Richard Pulliam of Calhoun passed away Monday, April 8th. Funeral service will be held on Saturday, April 13th at 11 a.m. at Bethesda Baptist Church in Calhoun, with Brother A.J. Waters officiating. The family will receive friends Friday, April 12th from 6 until 7:30 p.m. at the church. Interment, Haven of Rest Memorial Park. Arrangements by Willis Funeral Home of Dalton. And that's our obituaries. Stay tuned for your news.
Good morning, Northwest Georgia. I'm Aaron Scott. Today you'll notice our background's very new. It's beautiful. It's actually the owner of this station, our lovely grandfather's place. And that's one thing I really enjoy about this place is keeping this local.
Yeah, and you know, it's really a family business. It's family run. We just keep it in the family.
Yeah, and I love that. We really appreciate that here.
Yes, and first up, welcome to Northwest Georgia Television News, where your news covering Catoosa, Gordon, Murray, Walker, and Whitfield counties. In the news today, Dalton Police Department detectives are seeking help in identifying the theft suspect. An alert on the E. coli breakout in Georgia. The FAA investigation reports on the airplane crash last month in Calhoun, and details on Georgia's Home Energy Assistance Program.
Also coming up, Dalton and Whitfield emergency personnel received training in handling radioactive waste as it is transported through the Northwest Georgia Recent State Leadership Education Conference agenda. Brookwood Principal connects with families through bedtime stories on Facebook Live and upcoming events.
First up, the Dalton Police Department is asking for the public's help to identify a man who has used a stolen bank card to make fraudulent purchases. The card was stolen after a car was broken into in the parking lot of Hamilton Medical Center. The suspect was recorded by store surveillance. The car break-in happened on March 31st, sometime between 7 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. in the Hamilton Medical Center parking lot. The car's owner reported finding a rear passenger window had been broken out after returning to the vehicle. Taken from the car was a wallet containing a bank card, $50 in cash, and some store credit cards. The stolen bank card was used that day to make a purchase of $46 at the Murphy USA gas station at 885 Shugart Road. Surveillance video from the station shows a white man with closely cropped hair and a dark goatee wearing jeans and a dark t-shirt using the card to make the fraudulent purchase. The suspect also appears to have tattoos on both forearms. The suspect was driving an older model white Toyota Corolla. Anyone with information about the identity of the suspect is asked to please contact Detective Berger at the Dalton Police Department. Wow, desperate guy.
You know, honestly, people will go to some great lengths to not have to get an actual job these days.
Yeah, well, his first problem was the goatee, but...
Next up, the Georgia Department of Public Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have confirmed 17 cases of E. coli 0103 infection in Georgia. Because this is an ongoing investigation, the number of cases is expected to increase. These illnesses are part of the multi-state E. coli outbreak, sickening nearly 100 people in 5 states. Though potentially fatal, there are no reports on death in the outbreak. A specific food item, grocery store, or restaurant chain has not been identified as the source of these infections. DPH is interviewing the individuals who became ill, asking them about the foods they ate in the week before they got sick and looking for any other exposures or commonalities. People get sick from E. coli, on average, 3 to 4 days after swallowing the germ. Symptoms of E. coli 0103 include severe stomach cramps, diarrhea, and vomiting. Anyone experiencing these symptoms should see their doctor immediately.
Most people recover from E. coli 0103 infections within a week. but some illnesses last longer and can be more severe, resulting in a type of kidney failure, according to Cherry Drinzik, DPH Chief Science Officer and State Epidemiologist. And she said it is crucial that the public understands how serious this E. coli infection can be. There's a few ways to prevent the E. coli infection, and that includes washing your hands thoroughly and frequently. Cook ground beef and pork at least 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Cook steaks and roast to at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep raw meats separate from foods that won't be cooked before eating. Thoroughly wash hands, counters, cutting boards, and utensils with soap after they touch raw meat to avoid contaminating other foods. Wash fruits and vegetables before eating, and don't prepare food or drink for others when you're already sick.
You know, this is one thing we haven't heard of for a very long time, an E. coli breakout.
Yeah, and that's weird too, because this really boils down to just basically taking care of yourself and being aware of what you're putting into your body.
No, and it really does. It comes down to knowing what you're putting in your body, and that's a good way of keeping things local, because mostly in local businesses, they're sourcing from local suppliers.
And that's great. We want to stay as local as we possibly can and keep giving back to the community.
That's awesome. Next up, now the FAA investigation report on the small airplane crash in Gordon County on March 23rd, killing the single occupant. The craft was a prototype of an airplane kit that was planned for mass production and was on a test flight when it went down after it struggled to maintain airspeed or a nose-up altitude. According to a National Transportation Safety Board report, the Federal Aviation Administration spokeswoman Kathleen Bergen, an experimental amateur-built commuter craft innovator being flown by 63-year-old Richard Hogan of Dawsonville, crashed in a field south of Calhoun at 3:45 p.m. on March 23rd. The plane crashed in a wooded area within a few hundred yards of a residential neighborhood on Spencer Drive. Ground scars and fragmentation of the wreckage were consistent with ground contact and a steep nose-down attitude at high speed. The report stated NTSB investigator was called to the scene to investigate along with FAA personnel. A report of their investigation was released last week. According to the report, in February, the plane was flown for the first time at Tom B. David Field in Calhoun before being disassembled and returned to the factory for modifications. Commuter craft employees told investigators the plane was a prototype for an airplane kit and was being planned for mass production. Employees added that Hogan had no experience in flying with the Innovator airplane. The plane was brought back to the Calhoun airport the day before the crash and was taxi tested on the day of the crash. Hogan had an assistant with him fly in a chase plane to document the flight and record what they may need to fix. Hogan has told the assistant he planned to take off, make sure the plane was flying fine, and then fly to 3,000 feet to film the plane. But when the plane took off, it rose barely above the trees, made one maneuver, and then went out of sight, according to the assistant who had taken off ahead of Hogan and to chase the plane. The plane barely rose 200 feet from the ground. The pilot of the chase plane estimated and was challenged to maintain airspeed or a nose-up attitude. The chase pilot added that he heard Hogan say he planned to return to the airport before he saw the plane go down. He added that the plane was proposing before the nose dipped down, leading to the crash. Another witness, a pilot who was approaching the airport by car, said the plane was pitching and rolling and appeared unstable immediately after takeoff. He added that the plane was around 150 feet off the ground when it steeply turned and disappeared from his sight behind a line of trees. The owner of the property where the plane crashed told investigators he heard the plane fly low above his workshop before the sound of impact. You know, this is one thing you gotta watch out for when it comes to remaking anything or mass production models.
Yeah, and that's a problem. What have we learned today? Here, we have learned number one, maybe we should obtain a pilot's license before we fly a plane that we put together ourselves. Number two, let's leave the aerospace engineering to the professionals. We thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Hi, I'm Judy Elliott, inviting you to join me on Lifestyles for Women show on WDNN TV. This year brings exciting new topics that women like to discuss or just know more about. Subjects like ways to look and feel your very best, travel, family, health, and sometimes just fun girl talk. It's always exciting, and we invite your suggestions. Just message me on Facebook at Lifestyles for Women, or for more information or to watch us online, visit WDNNTV.com, Lifestyles for Women.
Precision Chemical and Paper Supply is locally owned and operated by Damon Duckett, serving our community for 40-plus years. We can supply all your away-from-home needs. Business-to-business products include janitorial, food and beverage, facilities and ground, office products, and packaging. Located at 101 Bryant Avenue in Dalton. Give Precision Chemical and Paper Supply a call today at 706-226-8795 or visit them on their website at precisionchemicalandpaper.com.
Welcome back. I hope we've had some time to reflect. Next up, eligible residents may apply for cooling assistance driving through the Division of Family and Children's Service Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program beginning May 1st. LIHEAP, L-I-H-E-A-P, is a federally funded program that is designed to assist low-income, elderly, and disabled Georgians with cooling costs through direct payments to home energy suppliers. Eligible households will receive between $350 to $400 towards their energy costs. To qualify, a family's annual income must be less than or equal to 60% of the median income for a Georgia family. For a household of one, the income threshold is $22,900. The income threshold for a household of five is $51,000. Funds are administered through local Georgia community action agencies. Contact your local GCEAA to determine how the program will accept applications and if any demographic will receive priority service. And on the energy thing, I think it's about time we start looking into more ideas for free energy. We can get this stuff for free now. Solar panels are cheap these days. There's 100 wires that can be tapped into to use this stuff for free.
You know, I think the only thing that the solar market is lacking is proper marketing right now, honestly, because they're much cheaper than they used to be. You have all these developers, especially out in China, you know, they're becoming a lot easier to get a hold of.
Exactly. You know, what will happen is actually somebody will come out to your meter. They will check your how much power your solar panels have gotten a battery, how much power it's absorbed and charge it up, and they'll deduct it from your taxes each year.
And they will. Smart thing to look into, everybody. Next up, the Federal Department of Energy and the Georgia Emergency Management Agency teamed up to present 3 months of intense training to more than 100 Dalton and Whitfield firefighters as part of a waste isolation pilot plant preparation. Located in Carlsbad, New Mexico, WIPP is the nation's only repository for the underground disposal of nuclear waste known as Transuranic, or TRU. Waste consisting of clothing, tools, rags, residues, debris, soil, and other items contaminated with small amounts of plutonium and other man-made radioactive elements. Disposal of transuranic waste is critical to the cleanup of Cold War nuclear production sites. Waste from Department of Energy sites around the country is sent to WIPP for permanent disposal and often travels through Georgia from nuclear sites in Savannah and Oak Ridge, Tennessee. WIPP has been disposing of legacy TRU waste since 1999, cleaning up 22 generator sites nationwide. TRU waste is long-lived and has to be isolated to protect public health and the environment. Deep geologic disposal in salt beds was chosen because the salt is free of flowing water, easily mined, impermeable, and geologically stable. Salt rocks also naturally seal fractures and close openings. Getting the radioactive waste to New Mexico requires transportation in special containers that have been approved by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission after extensive training. For the exercise, the Department of Energy and the state of Georgia allow contaminated sources to be brought out to create a real live environment for the trainees. All contaminated sources meet the state and federal standards for shipping. Participants are actually able to take their radiation meters and physically survey that energy. The sources are hot enough to give off energy and they can take real live readings, but they're still very safe.
While the idea of nuclear waste traveling along the state's roads might be a little unnerving to residents along the way, DOE Representative Alverson says that they can be reassured that officials are taking all necessary precautions to keep them safe. The Department of Energy Transportation Emergency Preparedness Program is out there to help the local responders deal with this type of material. While there have been accidents where the steel containers came off the trailer, there has never had an injury or death in the over 60 years of shipping DOE materials in Type B shipping containers as a result of release of material. The training for local firefighters is to keep the public as safe as possible in the event of a radiological accident. The Dalton Fire Department and Whitfield County Fire Department and emergency management folks have been very active in being prepared for this type of incident for this area. Dalton is on a primary shipping corridor, and this is the third training of this type here in the last 10 years. We appreciate them being very progressive in the way they get ready to handle those situations if they were ever to really happen. Department of Energy and Georgia Emergency Management Agency said the local firefighters did an excellent job responding to the emergency exercise. We thank our local emergency service personnel for furthering their ability to keep Northwest Georgia safe. You guys are absolutely awesome. But then again, this boils back to, excuse me, more unclean energy. We're taking this waste, this nuclear waste, I guess if that's what it would be, and we're moving it to New Mexico. So we're just putting it off on someone else?
No, and we are, and that's not a great way to deal with it, but for now we're going to have to subside with whatever opportunities we get to rid of these substances in their self.
Yep, I think it's time to start researching into better ways to accomplish energy in general, but we'll see how it works out.
It is, and that really goes back to government funding again. The U.S. Department of Education hosted a state education leadership conference yesterday for key Georgia education officials. This was the first in a series of meetings the department plans to host that give state and local leaders the opportunity to engage with senior department officials on a wide range of education-related topics. Participants discussed issues important to Georgians, including the Higher Education Act reauthorization, efforts to improve school safety, ESSA implementation, Perkins transition plans, and the Secretary's Education Freedom Scholarship proposal. Among other shared topics of interest, U.S. Deputy Secretary Dr. Mitchell Zayas, who presided over the meeting, said that throughout Secretary Betsy DeVos' 10 years in office, she has been an ardent supporter of federalism and for empowering state and local leaders to have more local control over the education of their students, and that the State Education Leadership Conference Series is one of the ways in which the department is realizing the Secretary's vision of state and local decision makers having access to staff and resources at the federal level.
That may come with federal control as well. We're not quite sure yet, but I guess we'll see how that works out. Also in the educational forefront, Brookwood principal Malia Bridenstine found a fun way to connect with families and encourage literacy. After talking with a friend in the district math curriculum specialist, Brandy Moore, she somehow knew that a genuine way to create meaningful connections would come while at home wearing pajamas. Thus, the Bedtime Stories with the Principal live Facebook video series of a reading of bedtime stories online was born. The first implementation of the idea came right before Christmas. Moore designed an advertisement, and Bridenstine requested permission from the author of How to Catch Santa, Gene Reagan, before cozying up next to her Christmas tree and going live. Bridenstine said reading the stories live allows parents and students to interact in real time with questions and comments. After the story is over, the video remains on the school's Facebook page for viewers to watch at any time. Rather than reading every single Sunday, Bridenstine said she tries to keep the idea novel and has read about 9 stories since Christmas. The videos typically get between 1,000 to 1,500 views. Most recently, Bridenstine read a story the Sunday night before students return from spring break. She said that right before kids come back to school, they sometimes get anxious, and she feels that if they can just turn on Facebook Live and we can all be excited about reading a story together, then they are more excited to return to school. Bridenstine wants to connect these students, but not overdo it. She also usually does a reading if there is something culturally relevant and important to recognize, like a holiday or if an unsettling world event occurs, to help them relieve anxieties or synthesize what has occurred.
The idea has taken on a life of its own and created community in ways bigger than Bridenstine ever intended. From this idea has come to the Brookwood Principals Book Club, as well as a few book studies and literature circles at the school. Bridenstine shared the project in a Facebook group called Principals Leadership Group, which inspired a principal in Texas to successfully replicate the project at her own school. Bridenstine said that they have really tried to reach out and connect with students to show them that reading and writing really lives. It's not just about instruction, it's about the beauty and love for learning. The whole district has pitched in and been encouraging. And again, back to federal control, they might not like this.
And they might not for multiple reasons.
Feel free to call in here at WDNN and give us your personal opinion on that. I hope you enjoyed this today. I'm Aaron Scott.
And I'm Adam Scott. Remember, guys,
stay classy.